All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another installment of ProFo Convos here at Beaufort County Community College. I'm Lauren LaMantia, career counselor from the counseling department, and I'm so excited to be sharing these professional conversations with those in the field. Today's episode will focus on criminal justice and many different facets, areas that are involved in criminal justice. So as you study, as you make your decisions going forward, I really think our guest is going to help you, and this is really going to be incredible. So I'm thrilled to have RuthTrinka with us today. So let's just jump in. Ruth, thank you. I'm so excited that you're with us today. I'd love to just get started with you telling us a little bit about yourself and how you landed and what your experience has been thus far. So thank you.
Great. Lauren, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. My name is RuthTrinka. I'm 45 years old. I reside in New Jersey. I'm a retired state corrections sergeant for the New Jersey Department of Corrections. I graduated from the University of Arizona with a Bachelor of the Arts degree in political science and sociology in 1997. And from there, went into the private work sector. I worked for a direct mail marketing firm in Englewood Cliffs, and I learned of a lot of invaluable office skills, typing skills, business skills, I should say. In the meantime, I was trying to take tests to get onto a police department, and I happened to take the civil service test in the state of New Jersey and checked off the box that I'd like to be considered for state corrections. About a year later, I started to get phone calls, and I started in the process. I went into the New Jersey Department of Corrections 14-week academy located in Seagirt, New Jersey, where our state police academy is as well. I started that in April of 2002, and I graduated in July of 2002. And I was immediately assigned to the Edna Man Correctional Facility for Women in Clinton. From there, I was able to go into teaching down at the academy for several years. I took the promotional exam for sergeant and was promoted to sergeant in April of 2012. And due to unforeseen circumstances, I was medically retired in approximately May of 2015 for injuries I received to my shoulder on the job at work.
Wow. Well, thank you for that intro. This is really exciting to see how you took that college degree, blended it in with some business acumen, and then eventually landed in corrections with, it sounds like, some great experience, instruction, and then some. So how did you first even become interested in this field, or how did you begin the career? I know you said you started the training, but what even interested you in the first place?
I think throughout my school years, my elementary, junior high, high school years, I always had an affinity for English and history, and then that turned into politics, which was the lean I wanted to go into going into college. I have quite a few family members and friends who were police officers, who were in the military. But I think two of the biggest turning points for me were my Uncle Bill. He was a local police officer in Haledon. And also we had career day at some point in high school, and Detective Tallarico came from the Passaic County Prosecutor's Office to talk to us about basically what we're talking about here, career options, what the job is like, what things should you be doing to prepare. If he was very open, if you had questions, he gave out his card so you could call him and contact him with a question. And just hearing some of the stories that Detective Tallarico spoke of, it really resonated with me in terms of helping, but helping for the greater good and helping society and helping also those that might not have the voice that they need to get out of a situation that they're in, and some of the help that they were able to provide those people. So I think that was really going into my college years where my blinders were on for.
Okay. All right. That was really some great information, because we do know that in that criminal justice field, there are so many different avenues, from hands-on to hands-off, that you can really get involved in. But the one big thing you said to me was about helping the greater good. So I think going into that criminal justice area, whatever you decide to choose, that helping the greater good is that common theme throughout. So thank you for adding that. I think that was so, so important.
Thank you.
What do you think are just the strongest skills people need in getting into any of these types of fields?
I think one of the biggest is personal responsibility. One of the statements we used to make in the academy to the recruits was integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody else is looking. Just having that moral compass and knowing the difference between what's right and what's wrong, and also having an indication of some of those gray areas, and also empathy, being able to put yourself in another person's shoes as best as you possibly can. I think really trying to immerse yourself in your environment, and also wanting to learn as much as possible, always asking questions. Why is it done this way? I noticed officer so and so conducts a search this way. Why does officer so and so conduct their searches this way? Asking questions, learning from the people that have been on the job, and taking that experience and internalizing it, and knowing that you can't really become that other person, but to make that a part of you, who you're going to become as an officer or a probation officer or an investigator. Just learning to take everything that's given to you and putting it all together and trying to do the best that you can each and every day.
I love that. Integrity, huge. Empathy, huge. And then really immersing yourself, like you said, and asking a lot of questions. That is the best thing that you can do, because why not learn from those who are successful in the field? And then you mix that all up, you make it your own, and then you find the way that you are going to handle yourself in whatever situation, in whichever industry that you find yourself falling into. So
That's
thank you. That was
completely
great.
correct. Yep.
So I know you mentioned a little bit about the disability, so I want to get back to that. But when you were in the height of your career in corrections, what did you really find most rewarding, or what did you like the most about your work? And then what was, you didn't really like so much about the work?
I think I'll still say this even being retired, the people that you work with, because I think for so many people, they think, oh, it's orange is the new black, or it's like Oz. It's
Right,
really
right.
not. It's not. You might have a shift where it comes close to it, but for the most part, I think um, the biggest the biggest thing to remember is that you got to start that section all over again, because he just brought iced tea in and it messed me up. I'm sorry.
Right. No problem. I know, I got my iced coffee here anyway too.
I had a bottle of water here, but then he brought me iced tea, and I'm like, what is he doing? Why is he opening the door? Is the bird going to come flying in and attack me? What the heck's going on?
No problem at all.
All
All right.
right. All right. Hold on. I know
Yeah.
exactly where. Ready? Oh, I think one of my favorite things about the job, and I will still say this even being retired, is the people. The people that you work with. You literally have to consider it as you are putting, for 8 hours or 16 hours, you're putting your life in your coworkers' hands, and they're putting their life in your hands, because ultimately we're not dealing with uh, the most desirable people in society, unfortunately, and that comes at a price in terms of what occurs on a shift on a day-to-day basis. So the people, that's a big thing. Interacting with the people that you are working with, but also, again, learning. Even as a supervisor, I would be supervising a search of a tier, and I would actually learn things from the cops doing the searches. And it's always about educating each other and looking out for each other, having each other's back. And I used to say this at the academy. to some of the new recruits when I would teach is, listen, when you go in there as a new officer or a recruit, one of the biggest things you want to do is you want to keep your ears open and keep your mouth silenced. And you want to take in as much as you possibly can, because ultimately you come across or you learn something on one shift, 2 months later, something happens, that information that you exchanged might help you with how you respond
Mhm.
to a code or how you respond to an inmate um, who's going through a crisis at that point in time. So the people, it's 90% of the job. Some of the most important things are, it's just people,
Mhm.
learning how to talk to people, interacting with everybody. One of the least desirable aspects of the job can sometimes be the paperwork. And
Mhm.
knowing officers that work out on the street with the local police department, I know that there's also mountainous volumes of paperwork that are entailed in terms of any arrests that are made, any evidence that is taken into custody in terms of chain of custody and chain of evidence
Mhm.
to ensure that it hasn't been disturbed, because that can affect the outcome of a court case. um, and attention to detail. And it gets a little overwhelming, but you learn that it's part of the job, it's part of the territory. And each time you do a new set of paperwork, you learn how to become a little bit quicker and a little bit better about how you're filling things out. And it also helps too, while you're doing this, to have somebody read over your work, just like
Mhm.
you would prepare a paper. You want to make sure that you're getting your right main theme points across, you're illustrating, and your examples are matching up. So also getting some input maybe from another officer or a trusted supervisor that you can go to.
I love that. I mean, I can't count how many things that you just said there that are so meaningful. Number one, the people. So if we go back to just skills you need as a person, we think about your interpersonal skills, your independent working skills, your collaboration
Yes.
and teamwork skills. I mean, that is so just valuable, valuable, valuable. And the other thing that I love that you mentioned goes back to anybody who's in college thinking, why do I have to take this typing course? Why do I have to take this English course? Why do I have to take this sociology course? Why do I have to take this administrative course? Because you just said part of the job, and it's the job, part of the job you don't really desire, is all of that administrative business, all the writing, the typing, and you need to have good language skills and good communication skills in order to do all that. So I'm really glad
Yes.
that, because that is a point we like to bring up in college, that your liberal arts courses and any internships or any jobs that you do have before you get into maybe the field you want are very valuable, because there are many, many aspects of your position where you had to do those types of skills. So thank you for bringing that up.
And to that point, I'd like to add a lot of the skills that I had to draw upon while I was working in corrections. A lot of it I learned and was able to perfect when I was working in the office
Mm.
in Englewood Cliffs with a marketing firm. So even though I was doing and setting something up a certain way for the marketing firm, I was able to take some of what I had learned there in terms of presentations to business clients and translate that over into my writing skills and my typing skills to corrections. Because what people might not understand or realize is, we're dealing with the people once everybody believes that the sentence has been passed and the key's been thrown away. We are kind of considered to be the forgotten cops, but we still play a very integral role, in the criminal justice system. And a lot of times there are cases where there are assaults or worse that take place inside the prisons. So your photo and video evidence has to be submitted to the prosecutor's office if you're charging that person. Your incident reports, everybody that responded to the incident, details, colors, time, place, person. It's all very important. So I don't want anybody out there to think, oh, well, I'm just working in this office job. I'm typing something. I'm typing presentations, or maybe I'm a paralegal. I'm typing up a motion. All of it means something. all of it in one way, shape, or form, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or a year from now, those skills are going to be called upon at some point, and they are important. So take it with a grain of salt when you are going through some of those liberal arts classes, and just realize that down the road, some of what you're doing there in class or some of your projects in class are going to serve you in one way, shape, or another, definitely down the road.
I love that. Thank you. You as the professional reiterating that. And one thing that came to my mind too was also those who maybe are choosing criminal justice as a second career. So you mentioned marketing, you mentioned business administration, presentations. So maybe someone was doing that for some period of time and said, hey, I really want to go back to school now. So they have all of that life experience that now they can bring into a role in criminal justice. So thank you for touching upon that too as well, because hey, it all makes sense and it all shapes the person we are today.
And in some way, shape, or form, it all comes together at one point. And I remember thinking that in college, why do I have to write a 20-page
Yeah.
paper about
We're all
such
there,
and
right?
such? But really learning those research skills helped me a lot, especially when I was down at the academy with rewriting lesson plans and getting with
Wow.
experts in certain fields that we were working on expanding the lesson plans and curriculum for.
Fantastic. I'm learning things today, so I appreciate that from you as well. Um, let's keep going on here. So at a typical day, or let's talk about when you were at the height of your career and you were just so entrenched in everything you were doing, how did that affect your general lifestyle or just your living as a person in the world? How did that affect that?
Well, I can definitely give some very good illustrative examples.
Mhm.
Coming right out of the academy and not having any seniority or any time in, I think my first set of days off, instead of a regular work week where Saturday and Sunday are considered your days off, in law enforcement, in corrections, uh, you might end up having Tuesday and Wednesday as being your Saturday and Sunday. So you need to realize that you're going to have to really alter your schedule. You're going to miss, and I'm being completely honest, I don't want to sugarcoat any of it. You're
Good.
going to miss birthdays, you're going to miss anniversary parties, you're going to miss weddings. Um, it, it does take a toll, but the important thing is to try and talk to your family. I know you can't always go home and you don't want to give all the gory details, but
Mhm.
you try to kind of uh, flesh that out a little bit and leave all of those particulars out so that they kind of understand some of the things that you've been faced with during the week or during your previous shift. And it's hard. And there, I will say this with, unfortunately, uh, any law enforcement job, there is a very high rate of divorce, alcoholism, substance abuse, mental illness, or post traumatic stress.
Mhm.
A lot of people experience, and there's also some people who are not able to keep the job at the job. They bring it
Gotcha.
home.
Yeah.
And that's very hard too. So I know when I first started, I actually look forward to having that hour and 15-minute drive home because that was my time to kind of decompress. So when I did walk in the door, I wasn't carrying everything from work with me. And that's very important in terms of being open about what the job expectations are. The other thing, you are going to miss holidays.
Mhm.
One of our biggest things we tried to stress with recruits in the academy was you need to come in and work your 8 hours on Thanksgiving so that the officer that comes in on second shift can enjoy Thanksgiving with their family. If
Mhm.
you come in and do your 8 hours, it gives everybody a chance to spend some time, no matter what shift you're on, with your family.
Mhm.
And I've seen that, uh, I want to say generationally,
Okay.
some of the younger people that are coming into these careers, I don't think they're coming in sometimes with the most realistic
Right.
expectations.
Right.
And so I hope that I'm not discouraging anybody in terms of getting involved and going into any of these careers. But I just want to make sure that I'm honest and I'm upfront about it, because maybe they don't know anybody that's working out on the street, that's working in one of the state prisons, that's working with the prosecutor's office on a day-to-day basis. So, just to have that, you have to be your family has to be very flexible and understanding. Um, but at the same time, you have to be understanding of them. It's always a two-way street. And I think departments now are getting to be a lot better about recognizing those um, flags,
Mhm.
those relationship troubles, or maybe you're drinking a couple of extra beers than maybe you normally would. Maybe you would just have one or two, but now it's becoming, a six pack or it's becoming a 12 pack. And departments are now actively trying to mitigate and work with officers to prevent or to help them treat those problems or issues that they're dealing with. One of the great things in New Jersey that has happened is the alliance with Cop to Cop. And it's an 800 number that's staffed 24 hours a day. And any officer that's experiencing any kind of trauma or crisis can call. And it's an extra set of ears, somebody to listen to,
Right.
because sometimes we also want to put that facade up where nothing can touch us.
Mhm.
You don't want to show a lot of emotion at work. You don't want to show your cards. You don't want to show your hand. So we tend to keep things very close to the vest or close to the chest.
Mhm.
And I think people just need to be understanding, and those people that are thinking about this type of career need to be cognizant that it's not always going to be a Monday through Friday work week. Now, granted, I went down to the academy. I was working Monday through Friday, and I got to live like a real human being. I got to have Saturday and Sundays off, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. Um, but that all comes with the territory. It's based on what kind of a department are you going into? How much staffing do they have? Are they hiring you because of a lot of retirees? That's all going to depend on possibly what institution you get sent to and possibly the shift that you get sent to.
Mhm.
And I don't want anybody to ever think that it's anything is done in spite. It's just the way the shifts are balanced is the way the shifts are balanced. And people need to learn and to recognize that it's not anything personal, but it's for the operational effectiveness of the department or the shift or the unit.
You're
So,
going back to the greater good there.
yeah.
And it is something that people need to realize going into law enforcement, corrections, and all those similar fields that, yes, be prepared that you will not have your picture perfect, if that's what's in your mind, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday job. And if that's what you think you're going to want, then maybe you need to start looking elsewhere. And I loved how candid and honest you are, because that's what we need with these professional conversations, so students and new grads can really see, hey, I'm listening to a professional here who knows her stuff, and I have to really listen and see if that's what I want to do.
But at the same time, I'd like to piggyback off of what was just said and say that in my career in corrections, I was able to, well, I worked a tier, I worked a unit. I was on the honor guard detail. I worked on Project Pride, where I took FOMIN inmates out into the high schools or the junior highs to teach the audience that have your choices have repercussions,
Mm.
and to basically don't make the same mistakes as me. And then from there, going down to the academy, I was teaching, I was writing lesson plans. I became a firearms instructor. I taught firearms. I was at Fort Dix with the recruits,
Mm.
helping to teach them and get them to be able to qualify with the handgun, the rifle, and the shotgun. Um, and that's the other great thing about this job. If you want a desk job, that's okay. But if you don't want a desk job and you want every day to be a little different, sometimes big differences, um, sometimes this is the career path for you. If you like that every day is different and you're not just sitting at the desk. But at the same time, I will say I had the opportunity to, at times,
Mhm.
sit behind that desk. So it was nice to have uh, that availability and that opportunity available to me. And I will always be very thankful for the opportunities that I've been able to experience in my career in the department.
That's great. It really sounds like that. Hey, try out some things. And if you have this open mind, then maybe you're doing this, and then maybe you're talking to an officer about this, and then that leads you on this path or that path. So it sounds like there's a lot of
Yep.
opportunity in the field, a lot of opportunities also for advancement,
Yes,
just even lateral moves or different departmental moves, or different just kind of nuances within the field that you could get into different areas.
that's correct. That's 100% correct. And a
Yeah.
lot of people in their off time, they know that they're not the best shot. Couple of people will get together and say, "Hey, listen, let's go to the range on our day off."
Mhm.
They would go to the range and practice. A lot of people are into different types of mixed martial arts, which is very important in terms of getting into any kind of hands-on criminal justice or law enforcement job.
Mhm.
Um, Educating yourself, even just auditing a college class.
Mm.
Just because you're in corrections or just because you're in law enforcement doesn't mean you always have to keep those blinders on. There is plenty of opportunity in other types of careers, especially within corrections, support staff, social workers.
Mhm.
Um, it, the possibilities are endless. It just depends on how much work are you going to put into getting yourself to where you want to be, not where you need to be, but where you want to be.
I love that. Where you want to be. I love that. um,
Yep.
what what current trends or issues, without us getting into some kind of big heated conversation here, but what current trends or issues in the field do you think students and graduates should be aware of? You did mention a little about generational, how things are changing and the forces are a little more cognizant of any kind of issues or troubles personally you're having. Is there anything else you can add to that about any current issues or trends you're seeing in criminal justice?
I think, especially right now with the current climate, um, there's a lot of people that are retiring
Mhm.
in mass numbers because they have the opportunity to.
Mhm.
Say they only had to stay for 20 years to get their pension. They might have stayed for another 5 because, oh, my child, instead of she's going to finish her associates at community college, but now she's going to transfer to a 4-year university. I'm going to stay an extra 5 years to make sure I have the money to pay for tuition, books, and things like that. But I think what's happening is a lot of people are becoming disenchanted with the job because of the things that they see on the news.
Mhm.
And I take it very much to heart because even though I don't put the uniform on anymore, I still consider myself in some way, shape, or form to be still active in a way that I can still play a part in my community and still reaching out to officers that I supervised or I worked with, even though I'm retired. I'm not dead because I'm not there, in a sense. But being a sounding board for them, and I think quite a few are becoming disenchanted with what they're seeing, and it could also be family pressure, pressure
Mhm.
from friends. But ultimately, I think it comes back to you as the individual. Are you going to stand up for what is right? And are you also going to, when nobody else will, stand up and say when something is wrong? And
Mhm.
I think that comes back to your moral compass and your beliefs, your integrity, the way that you were raised. Um, and I just, I'd like to see everybody have uh, the same opportunities. So if you want to get involved and try and make a difference, you might not think it makes a difference, but even just you have an interaction with somebody on the street as a law enforcement officer. They could be having the worst day of their entire lives, and you would never know until you talk to them and you find out what's going on with them. And maybe you are able to help them. Maybe you are able to put them in touch with a local community resource to help you with the problem that you're facing.
Mhm.
And I just don't want to see people give up on what could be a very expansive and dynamic career because of things that are taking headlines in the news right now. And to also let people
Yeah.
know that just because there is one person that has done something that is contrary to the way that they may have been trained, it does not, I will not let them paint me or any of my brothers and sisters in blue with such a broad brush, because ultimately you're responsible for your own actions, your own choices, they have consequences. And I think in terms of the prison setting, what's become very big right now is the Prison Rape Elimination Act, which
Mm.
comes with federal mandates in terms of programs that are available within the institution, reporting methods, and it's all in terms of trying to bring more transparency to what's taking place in the prisons on a day-to-day basis.
I can't even follow up with that because you said so many amazing points. So students and grads, I really recommend you rewind and listen to everything that Ruth just said, because there were some really powerful moments in that. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
What are there certain accomplishments that tend to be valued or rewarded more in the field? Or reshaping that question, maybe, are there things that you can do yourselves that will be highlighted and rewarded more by supervisors or allow you to move up in the fields also?
I think, and this is in my opinion, I
Mhm.
can't speak for my previous department or any department, but I can say, and I've been speaking to you in terms of my experiences, which may
Absolutely.
not necessarily be the same expressions of my my department, but I think that, all right, we got to start that one all over again because I just went brain dead and I got cotton mouth. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. No problem.
Can you ask me that question again?
Okay,
Give me
sure.
1 second. Okay.
All right. So, are there any kinds of accomplishments that tend to be valued or rewarded more in the system? Or are there different things as far as certifications, training, whatnot, that could help someone really move up or around in the field?
I think definitely any kind of advanced degree past high school, whether it's an associate's degree, it's a 4-year degree, or it's a certification. Like I said earlier, when I was going through my disability pension process, I had to completely separate from service. And I got a little nervous and said, well, what if
Mm.
they don't approve the pension? I need to make sure I have something to fall back on. So I enrolled at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and I also am a certified paralegal.
Great.
So it's never not taking no for an answer,
Mhm.
pushing yourself, being on time. I can't tell you how important something like
Yeah.
that is. Being punctual, uh, coming to work dressed appropriately, which means taking pride in your appearance and taking pride in your uniform, because the way that you present yourself to others can sometimes speak volumes without you having to say a word.
Hmm.
Um, I think also any type of extracurricular activities, you want to get involved in coaching or anything like that, that can piggyback into some of the Police Benevolent Association programs that are out there, or the PAL programs where you're also helping the community, you're helping kids learn a sport, learn a skill, and also going and getting your methods of instruction once you've been on the job. Your methods of instruction, if you ever have a hope or an aspiration to go and teach at an academy, is going to give you the tools to learn how to teach to the adult learner, which is a little quite different
Different.
from an elementary or junior high or high school learner. And just never settling. That's really what it is. Somebody who never settles. The one thing I will say about taking a promotional exam, I've seen instances of officers having maybe 5 years on the job and taking the promotional exam, and perhaps they might not be the best supervisor starting out.
Okay.
Some of that I think speaks to their experience, or maybe they've a lack of experience in certain areas. And I think you'll know the time is right for each and every one of you if you want to pursue a promotional exam. You want to make sure that you've been exposed to as much as possible. My rule was I'm going to wait 10 years.
Okay.
I figure in 10 years, I've probably seen a good portion of everything from A to Z and soup to nuts.
Mhm.
And I think that waiting for me personally helped me along the way in terms of my relationship, my business relationship during a shift with the officers that I worked with. And I'll never say that I supervised, because ultimately everybody on the shift helps to contribute to getting everybody home in one piece. So I never looked at it as supervising a group of people. We
Mhm.
worked together. Um, and just being a Johnny on the spot, that, for lack of a better description,
Mhm.
that helps. And just picking people's brains, pick your sergeant's brain, or pick one of the senior investigators' brains. Oh, how did you learn how to do this?
I love
How
that.
did
Yeah.
you how did you learn how to do that? And
Mhm.
really combing them for information, so not only are you better informed, but it might be something that you're interested in and you'd like to pursue as another certification.
Mhm.
So
Wonderful.
always keeping the door open.
Door open. Good one. Good one. I think we really talked about a lot of this, but are there steps that you would recommend to someone getting into the field? And this could probably be short and quick because I think we did cover a lot of this.
Rule number one: every day that you don't work out, just remember they do.
Woo!
So you need to remember, for the ladies, and I know I can speak from my own experience, if you're really thinking about going into this field, um, you need to start. If you're not working out, do not go and enroll or say yes to a job where you're going to an academy. And
Mhm.
I believe North Carolina I believe it might be a 6-week academy. Ours, like I said, was 14. Don't expect to go to an academy that'll get you in shape. You need to
Mhm.
arrive on starting day of the academy ready to go to work, ready to run 3 miles, ready to do 50 push-ups,
Mhm.
ready to do mountain climbers. That's one of the biggest things. Start working out now if you haven't. And
Okay.
I know for a lot it's not easy,
Mhm.
but Rome wasn't also built in a day. And you got to push yourself, because remember, I'm putting my life in somebody else's hands and they're putting their life in my hands. I want to make sure when I'm at work, if I've got to do something to help protect them, that I can do that.
Mhm.
And that's one of the biggest things. The other thing is to make sure that your conduct is always above reproach.
Mhm.
You need to really, if and I'm sure that we have some students that are still quite young, and I'll speak to them. Know who you're hanging out with,
Mhm.
and if something doesn't feel right, always listen to your gut, or those little hairs that stand up on the back. If
Mhm.
something doesn't feel right, that's because it's not. And I would hate to see somebody hanging out or associating with a group of people that down the road prohibits them from getting a good paying job.
Right, right.
And, because like my grandfather said, my grandfather retired from Ford Motor Company, and he said, listen, kid, I'm going to tell you something. I think you should really go for this job, because there is no such thing as a gold watch anymore. So if you have the
Mm.
chance to get in to a department where you have a pension, and even more important nowadays, health benefits,
Mhm.
do it.
Love it.
Do it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. What are the best strategies you think for someone getting into this field? I think a lot of that is what we covered too. But is there anything else as far as different strategies you feel like are necessary?
I think any kind of career fairs that are offered, you get a crazy email from a school or something, don't just delete it, just read through it. You never know where a new information source
Mhm.
might come from. And you want to really try to prepare yourself with a broad spectrum of tools in your toolbox because, like I said, law enforcement and criminal justice are not always sitting for 8 hours a day. You're going to be on your feet. One day you'll be working outside. It could be pouring rain out. The next day you're going to be working inside. And just having that flexibility and really going for what you want. Don't let anybody tell you because you're 5 pounds overweight or your running time isn't that great for a mile. Make it better. Get out there. Do what you're supposed to do. Ultimately, it's going to help you. And along the way, you're going to help whoever it is that you're working with, your brothers and your sisters. Because rule number one in corrections is always go home every night.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you. So let's talk to maybe some new grads who are listening and they're brand new in the field. What kind of advice do you have for them?
Um, Continue to listen to some of your mentors that you've had. Always keep that piece of advice that a professor gave you that really stuck with you.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with that. And just every now and again, we're all going to get knocked down a little bit. We're going to have a good day or a bad day, or the interview is not going to go the way that you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, just remember we're all human. We all make mistakes. And my grandmother used to always say, you'll never know unless you ask.
Yeah.
The answer will always be no unless you ask. And it takes a lot of guts to put yourself out there and be inspected basically from head to toe, your background, your medical health, your mental health. Don't get discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get discouraged. But at the same time, if you've just graduated and you're in a career where you're working for, say, Avis, don't ever look at it as, oh, I'm working at Avis or I'm working for such and such law firm.
Mm-hmm.
No, what you're doing is you're getting invaluable experience, tools, information, education, and you're also showing to a prospective employer that I am going to be out there, running my rear off. I'm going to be out there trying to be the best person that I can, the best applicant for you. And just try to make sure that you stick to your roots and stick to what you believe in. Don't throw your moral compass out the window just because everybody else happens to be doing it.
Fantastic. Let's move on to something else. And can you recommend any types of trade journals, magazines? I don't know if anybody's still reading magazines, professional associations, anything on a national level, maybe that perhaps North Carolina's students and grads can take a look at, even social media or social media groups. Is there anything that's out there you think would be beneficial for them to connect with?
Well, I can speak for my department. I am aware that there are a few YouTube videos
Mhm.
that are out that are basically illustrating what our academy is like down in over here in New Jersey. So people might want to check that out. In terms of doing a search, it would be NJDOC on YouTube, and they'll see a couple of really great videos that were put together by the department.
Nice.
And they go into, they focus on the physical fitness aspect, the classroom aspect, and they're all questioning recruits and they're
Mm.
following recruits as they start and go through each week. And so it's nice to also see their evolution from being
Yeah, yeah.
broken
That is
down
mhm.
and built back up as a unit, as a platoon. So that's important. I think also the National Law Enforcement Memorial page on the internet, that would be something very interesting to go in and read over some of the sacrifices that so many men and women that put a badge on every day, the ultimate sacrifice that they paid
Mhm.
to protect society. And also even your local organizations as well. Also look into any kind of information they might have had about like police explorer programs, because I know some states are actually taking on people that are a little bit older than that junior high age. So I would look into something like that. And I would stay away from the Oz. I would stay away from the Orange is the New Black.
And thinking that
Um,
that's what it's all about, right? Yeah.
right. Exactly, because you could have a shift where everything is fine, everything runs smoothly, and you could have a shift where you're standing a mess movement and you get punched straight in the face.
Hmm.
So, it's every day is a roll of the dice. Just try to educate yourself. If there's something that interests you, I know the Department of Justice, they have a lot of great articles and learning tools on their website. So the Department of Justice would be another great web learning portal for people to look into.
Fantastic. Ruth, you've been wonderful. And I was just hoping that we could share your email with the students and graduates if anybody had some questions just to follow up with you. Would that be okay?
Oh, that would be absolutely fine by me, and I would look forward to anybody who's possibly, unsure or on the cusp of helping to make that decision. I think that would be great. But also, I would tell them to reach out to the North Carolina Department of Corrections, reach out to your state law enforcement organization. And I know they have recruiters staffed
Mhm.
on their in their respective divisions. So I would also reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I had a couple of questions about, possibly taking the test or applying, for this position. And for the most part, they'll be happy to meet or speak to you, because I know we're in COVID
Mhm.
time.
Right.
So they might actually, be fine with having a FaceTime discussion or something to answer those questions, because that's what they want. They want to make sure they're getting the most qualified applicants possible. And, also, if you're not sure, it could be a good decision tool. It could make or break whether or not that really is the field that you want to go into. But don't always think that it's always necessarily putting on the uniform and the
Mhm.
badge and the gun. Or when you go into the prison, you just have your radio and your cuffs and a couple of other things on your belt. Um, just don't rule anything out. You see a local officer that's usually patrolling your area, or you go and pick your kids up from school and your school resource officers there,
Mhm.
pick their brain, ask them questions, and if they can't answer it, what they should say is, that's a great question, and I unfortunately don't have that answer,
Right.
but if you give me time, I would like to get back to you. And somebody who's a true professional will
Will.
look into it and get right back to you.
Well, students and grads, we're right in Washington, North Carolina, so we can certainly look to those in the police department in Washington and also Beaufort County. So we have the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office, and I know we could get together and have some great conversations with them and also look more towards the state of North Carolina and maybe find that road or pathway you're interested in and get you some more information there. So feel free to contact me. Yes, Ruth.
I I do have one other piece of information,
Yeah.
and I unfortunately wasn't able to find that out before we talked today. But I know the New Jersey State Police, they've actually put together video segments in
Mm.
terms of what their expectations are for some of the physical assessment exams that you have to
Oh,
take in
okay.
order to get on. And but I would then defer to North Carolina and have you look at the state's website to see if your state police have put anything together in terms of breaking the plane for your push-ups,
Mm,
and what's expected also in terms of just general academy physical fitness, because that's going to be one of your bigger tests,
okay.
that you there is no fail, there is only pass. You must you must make it past that finish line. So I
Wow.
would definitely have people look into that as well, just to make sure that they're practicing the proper form
Mhm.
and that none of those repetitions would then become disqualified. So
Wow.
if you had somebody doing 75 push-ups, but maybe they only broke the proper plane 25 times, they're only going to get counted for 25 and not the
Wow,
75.
wow, wow, wow. That's
So,
something else.
but that's something for people to look into. If that physical aspect, if you're there, but you're not completely over the finish line in terms of where you feel you need to be, that might be a good resource also, because you definitely don't want to put your everything you've got into it and sweating on the mat only to have 25 push-ups counted, or certain number of mountain climbers counted.
Right.
Don't do yourself a disservice by not being properly informed.
Well, knowledge is power. And to all of you watching this today, I'm going to add many different links, websites, and information based on what Ruth said. I'm going to find our North Carolina component to what she said in New Jersey. And it's not going to hurt you to watch some of these New Jersey DOC videos as well, because again, knowledge is power. So to end this, Ms. Ruth, which I've loved my time with you, and I hope everybody else has enjoyed this, what are some last words you can think of to give our students and graduates who are viewing this today?
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
I like that.
Number one. Number two, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something, because can't means won't.
Mm.
Stay true to yourself. When you feel like you're getting knocked down, take a step back and look at how far you've come already. You might not have thought you would have made it past your associate's degree at some point, but you got it. Now you're going over to a 4-year, maybe you're going to a 4-year school, or you're just starting, or you're transitioning from one career to another. Listen, if it was easy, like they say, everybody would do it. You just have to have faith in yourself, stick to your moral compass, lean on your friends and family for help and support. And when all else fails, give it up to God. He'll handle it.
You left me speechless with all that at the end there. So I really, really appreciate it. Ruth, thank you so much for joining us on ProFo Convos. Again, so happy that you were able to give us so much detailed information and insight into what you lived through and what you've gone through and your opinions on the topics of law enforcement, corrections, and more. So Ruth, again, thank you so much. Everyone viewing this video, thank you so much. We'll be available for questions. I'll link and share lots of different information and how you get in touch with us at Beaufort County Community College for more. So again, Ruth, thank you so much. We wish you the best and take care.
Thank you very much for having me, Lauren. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope the information I've presented has been able to give you a little bit of a better picture in terms of corrections and more generally criminal justice. And keep on keeping on. And I wish everybody a happy, healthy new year. Everybody take care. Look out for one another. We are our brothers and sisters keepers. Be safe.
Thank you. Thank you.